how this actually compares to actually making a static ad, at least to some degree in which that ad actually mentions that there's so much time left for a sale or that there's a sale in general. To clue you in ahead of time, this video is going to explain that the countdown timer ads are not the best option. You can get even better results making a static ad in the way that I'm going to be teaching you on this video, okay? So this will be a relatively short video today. I'll tell you about my findings, the case study that I have, roughly speaking, how you can write a better ad if you're using the countdown timer ads, or if you're thinking about using the countdown timer ads. You think about using a different one if you want more results, you have more time than money, let's just say right now, because it takes a little bit more work if you go all the way with it. It takes no extra work if you go some of the way with it. And so, respectively, for what it's worth, the countdown timer ads is, if you're thinking about it, there's a better way of doing it regardless. It takes the same amount of time. And if you add a little bit more effort into it, you'll get even better results. Okay? So, anyway, I'm going to get into it. I tested the countdown timer ads on Google many years ago. They were great. And this is a kind of a running theme with PPC. Anytime there's a new ad feature, you have the carousel ads, whatever, they start to do good, really good right away. And the longer that they run, the more people use them, the more novel they are to the end user, the less they work. To the point where they eventually get to the point where they work just as good as anything else did. This is why there's no big marketing firm that's going to take over all the small marketing firms, because as soon as there's one way of doing everything, people get immune to it. It's not going to get people's attention anymore. If you don't get people's attention, they won't read your ad. They don't read your ad, they're not going to buy. So you should always be thinking about what is not. So you definitely look at what other traffic sources people are buying. That's true. But as far as the ads, you can look at what people have in your market, but you definitely want to be able to say, how can I take what they did at least and make it better and make it more novel yet? Because whoever has the most standout ads are basically going to be the one that wins, because you're going to get the highest click-through. The highest click-through results in the lowest cost per click, and therefore the highest ROI from the same exact traffic sources that work. So anyway, if you aren't sure what a countdown timer ad is yet at this part of the video, example of that is like there's a specific function inside when you make your ads to set up the countdown timer. So you'll have something like where you can write an ad that says sale only, and then there's a curly bracket code in here that says countdown, days left. And so what it'll do is you put the day of the end of the promotion, like 9 days from now. So if it's 9 days from the date in which you put it, the last day the promotion is going on inside your ad, when you set up the countdown timer ad, it'll say sale only 9 days left. The next day, it'll say sale only 8 days left, or what have you, or however you write the ad. It'll let you put dynamically, basically, the number of days left until the sale ends. Now that's been, like I said, it was kind of cool when it first started. People have seen this stuff anymore, and there's specific reasons. So now that there's no novelty factor to it, people are catching on, so to say. And then the fact that it's not as ideal way to do an ad that versus something that can be statically written. Now you have even worse results than what you could have otherwise, at least doing it a different way that I'm going to show you. So I can tell you these ads with definitive advice now, or opinions now, that you can make more if you use static ad text to replace this countdown timer text when you're going to put a promotion specifically in an ad, which is a great idea, by the way. Not always are you going to be able to do better with having a promotion and ad, but 90% of the clients we have, putting some sort of promotion in the ad that's current or relevant to the time period will get click-through rates to go up. Therefore, you're going to get more clicks from your market that are available then, and at a lower cost per click with a higher ROI consequently. So sometimes it don't work. Like I said, I wanted to throw that out there because I've had instances where just making the ad focusing on the features of the product or the price of the product per quantity, something like that, work better than putting the promotion in the ad. itself. So if the promotion does work versus non-promotion, what I'm telling you here is you want to go with the static ad versus the countdown timer ad. Because, like I said, people have seen the countdown timer ad, that's part of it, but also, respectively, for me, and based upon why I think the results are the way they are, I don't have scientific backing behind this, but so that it's not new anymore, that's one, and then it's more clear for the user's mind and more easy to process what's written on the ad there if you're using something different. Specifically, instead of using like only 9 days left, you say sale this week only, okay? This week only being what takes the place of only 9 days left. It's easier for your mind to process this, which anytime you get something that's more clear and easier to process for the user. So the top 3 things are, you have to get someone's attention with your ad to get high click-through rates and high ROI on your campaigns. You got to be able to easily make the person register what you want them to know without having to think any harder than necessary, and the offer has to be good. So registering this week only is a lot easier for your brain to process than 9 days left, because they're like 9 days left. What is that Thursday or is that the 20? Whatever. This week only, they know instantly. It's easier for their brain to process that. Easier to read, easier to process. And so, respectively, but the fact that it's more clear, that in itself is pretty much more important than anything other than the offer itself. Getting attention's almost equally as important as how clear it is, but if it's not clear, getting the attention doesn't matter. At least if you don't get as much attention, if the ad's clear, you're still going to make more. So anyway, as far as what I said here, though, as an example of what you can do that's going to beat the countdown timer ads, I could tell you recently, we're talking about 2022 here now, if you put, instead of the like sale only 9 days left, if you put sale this week only, you'll get about twice as much click-through from that than the 9 days left countdown timer gimmick, so to say, as I found recently. And it wasn't like that before. This isn't guaranteed to be twice as good in your market. You have to test it. But this has happened multiple times for us now. For a print shop, for a sign company. With that said, if you want to go a bit further, like I said on the start of the video, you can add more results than you're going to get by switching from countdown to sale this week only, or just switching from no promotion to a promotion. If you have a reason for the promotion, so in other words, people want to know that you're not just saying this week only over and over again. So if you say this week only for Mother's Day, they know you're not BSing them. Therefore, you'll get more results even yet than what you could say sale this week only on your ad versus having your ad saying nothing that's time relevant on it. Sale this week only, and then like for Mother's Day or for Halloween or whatever, the part where you add the reason here, basically the reason, generally the best one that works is mentioning a holiday or New Year or whatever, because that's what clicks and registers the easiest for the user's mind there. You'll get 50 to 100% more click-through rate for saying for Mother's Day sometimes. For some markets it does, for some markets it doesn't. So going back here, saying sale this week only generally always does better than the countdown timer. However, when you're saying sale this week only, saying, for Mother's Day or for Halloween, sometimes that'll get you a 50 to 100% increase where it works, in the markets where it works. Sometimes it won't. So you could test that either way. Obviously, it takes some extra action to constantly update that every month, or should I say every week. But it's another option for you to make, just as extra credit here, to get more results out of what you're doing. Now, respectively, some people don't want to update their ad every week, and then they'll say sale this month only. I could tell you if you switch from the countdown timer to sale this week only, you'll usually get a 100% increase in click-through rate without having to mess around with anything else. But if you think you're going to go from this countdown timer, respectively, unless you're using like, most of the people when they use the countdown timer aren't going to say 30 days left. They're going to say like 10 days left or something like that. Respectively, if you switch from the countdown timer to sale this month only, you won't get the doubling in click-through rate. It'll be somewhat similar, okay? Just want to make sure that that's clear. However, I will say as a side note, if you say sale this month only and you have the reason for that sale that month, like for Mother's Day or for Halloween, this right here almost routinely gets a 50 to 100% increase in click-through rate than if you didn't have the reason tied to sale this month only. So there's some different ways to put a promotion in an ad, in other words. You're better off saying sale this week only if you can do it. If you don't, you say this month only because you want to update it less, you definitely want to put the reason for the sale in there. Whereas if you say sale this week only, sometimes it's important to have the reason, sometimes not. And if you're going to switch from countdown timer, because that's what you have now and you've got consistent results, what you have right now, you want to switch to sale this week only if you're going to use my method here, not sale this month only, okay? And with all this, by the way, you can update your search ads. I also recommend updating your remarketing ads. Every time you update your search ads, you take your remarketing ads, you want to make custom banner ads. You can make a responsive display ad for your remarketing on Google Display Network, but also make banner ads in the most 7 common sizes with sale this week only. And if you're going to use for Mother's Day or whatever the reason is with it, add that in there after testing which way it should go. Whatever works on your search ads will work on your display ads there. And then, so your search ads and your display ads are constantly having the relevant, having that promotion in it, if you will. With the remarketing, by the way, you don't always just have the sale ad. Sometimes people or clients will stick with just that, but most of the other times I try to get them to where I'll have one ad with a testimonial, one ad that says our Google reviews, if we're like a local service firm or something, one ad that says we have this promotion in it. So if people are not buying from us because they're not trusting us yet, we have other ads that knock that particular doubt in the mind, that particular issue that's stopping them from ordering. And those ads rotate out for the user, okay? Sometimes they already trust you that, it's just a low price item. The trust is not an issue. For remarketing, you can just add, your sale this week only, and that'll increase your sales that you're going to get, because if they didn't buy, they were just procrastinating, and that'll help. These ads with the promotion in it like this is what these ads are good at, is taking somebody on the fence that says, oh, I'll buy it next week when I get paid, and they forget, and before they blow the money on something else, or would they blow it on something else, you follow them up for that whole time before they got paid, so they remember it at a higher rate than they did. Okay, so if you want the most results, in other words, though, take what I gave you here, sale this week only for your search ads, and put that same thing on a remarketing ad. And regardless if you're running multiple remarketing ads, like I mentioned in my other videos or not, have one ad that says that sale this week only. Almost every time is that going to make your overall ROI on your total ad spend go up, because the initial $1, $2, $3, $5, $10 you pay to get somebody to the site in the first place is going to convert that much better. Having something in there that'll get the procrastinators to procrastinate less or forget you less when they're leading up to when they were intending to purchase and will purchase, or deciding, crap, I need to buy what I was looking at before today, and then you come top of mind first, therefore you get the sale because you've remarketed to them. So anyway, hopefully that was clear. Now, respectively, this language here, it's not so much just about this countdown timer that I wanted to mention here. You can actually handwrite on a Facebook ad, sale only 9 days left, and that actually won't also work as good most of the time than saying sale this week only, with or without for Mother's Day on the end, as I've tested this on Facebook as well. So on Google particularly, this is pretty much always going to work better, sale this week only. Let's just say 90% of the time, okay? On Facebook, it will generally always work better too. Instead of saying so many days left, sale this week only as well. Why? 'Cause it's easier for the brain to register in general. you may not get a doubling, but you'll get a double-digit increase there on top of what you would have gotten otherwise with 9 days left. So it's not quite as big of a change as with switching from countdown timer to, sale this week only static ad on Google itself. But on Facebook, you generally always you can use this tip here too to get more out of it if you were perhaps saying only 9 days left, or probably not doing only 9 days left or whatever on your Facebook ads, because that would be a lot of trouble. What I would used to do is I would put like only 9 days left, and then a few days later I would put only 5 days left, and it wouldn't update every day because I couldn't justify going in every day and updating it, which is kind of sketchy, but works out to our favor anyway. Sale this week only works better than doing that anyway, as per what we found out. Also why I'm making this video, I wanted to explain that to you as a side note to this whole thing. Countdown timer ads, they're not really as good as they used to be. Sale this week only or a variation of that generally works better, and it generally works better on Google. And while you're at it, you can do it on your Google Display Network remarketing, get more from your overall ad spend on Google as a package. Remarketing like that gets first click to work better than as is people want to see remarketing ads get clicked and people buy right away. Remarketing, most of the value is people seeing the ad and then coming back 2 weeks later to buy, and they type in your name organically in Google. They click, they buy. You're not going to see the stats on your remarketing ad shows it working, but it gets your first click that you paid, big money to get that person to your site in the first place to work better. That's what you have to think about with remarketing, and you invest about 10% of your total ad budget on remarketing. Why? Because it gets the first click to work upwards of twice as good, using remarketing versus not using remarketing, okay? And usually if I'm doing Google Display remarketing, as a side note, I'm doing Facebook remarketing too. Because if they're on Facebook, I want to remarket to them there. If they're on some other site, I want to remarket to them there using Google Display Network, because that'll get me even more action in front of the user that sometimes they just never go any place but Facebook, and I want to be able to remarket to them at least somewhat. And if I got my ads on Facebook, my remarketing ads on Facebook will get to them there in those unique situations. And since Facebook is basically the top visited site other than TikTok today, I want to get it on there. My remarketing ads, my total remarketing ads that I have there as well. So, a few different ways for you to make some money from today's video and the strategy I gave you today. I have a ton of other PPC money-making strategy videos on this channel if you want to check those out. There's a lot of great information for you and videos for you to see. You should check some of my other videos out if you haven't yet. I have a blog at GaryTPPC.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns the way that I build them for our clients here to guarantee their results. If you'd like information along those lines, you can find it there. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, things that you think I should have covered and didn't, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel within a day or two, and I'll leave you with that. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope I also see you on the next video coming out in a day or two.